coming up next, we have Andreas coming out. So please make some noise for Andreas, who's going to talk to us about solving two of the biggest challenges around naming and scaling. Please welcome Andreas to the stage.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm here to talk about my favorite topic, and I think it's also your favorite topic, NFTs. And in particular, I think there is such a great match between physical items and NFTs and how to link them together, because it sounds like a little tough proposition, but we made some great experiments, and I am here to tell you about how you can solve it and what you could do to improve your user's experience. So my talk title is called Bridging Between Four Worlds: Physical, Ethereum, Sidechains and NFC. So all of these are needed to make a great experience using a physical product with NFTs. So a little bit of background about me. I've been in the blockchain space for a very long time, I would say. 2011, I founded, together with 8 other people, a non-profit organization. It was, I think, the world's first non-profit organization in the blockchain space called Bitcoin Austria. Then I continued to develop wallets for Android. So the Mycelium wallet was partially written also by me. I made a startup, and then I went on to create practical solutions for companies, and I'm doing this with my own company, Mindbox, right now. Not my own company, Capacity, right now. So how do these items, physical and digital, fit together very well? So if you have assets, some people suggest you can mirror assets as tokens like ERC20 tokens, and I think that's mostly a mistake, because physical items all have a life cycle behind them, and you cannot really model a domain item with an ERC20 token. Because it's fungible, you cannot change its properties individually. So even things like voting and so on are really hard to do with ERC20 tokens. And also a physical item and a digital item, they fit together very well in terms of gamification. So if you want to add some value to a physical item, when you want to bring a backstory in, that's what you can do with an NFT. And you need also a token for physical items that have some sort of scarcity and rarity, and also as a symbol of authenticity. So I think it's something obvious to put onto high-value items such as branded items and so on, because if you want to have a branded item, people want to check its authenticity. And if there are 2 people who are interested in really forging this authenticity, it's the fraudsters, but potentially also the producers themselves. So how do you keep the producers in check, and how do you make that transparent? Obviously, with tokens on the blockchain, that every individual owner of an item can check that that the item is only produced in a certain quantity. So how do you know how many handbags were made? So what is the life cycle? When you have a physical item and you have a digital token behind it, you still have to mint the token, you still have to sell the token, you can also then trade the token, and there is one open question here: do you immediately issue it to the owner, the physical item, or do you have the physical item somewhere in storage where an owner can request it? So this is also something, the delivery, that can be mirrored in real life as well. So if you have an item that you don't immediately deliver, the producer or maybe a wholesaler in between needs to have a real-life storage of the item somewhere. And you can put all of the logistics aspects and behind on the blockchain as well. That makes a lot of sense, but only, of course, in combination with a blockchain that can support the necessary throughput volume and transaction costs. So the physical authenticity check is then later done with NFC. As soon as a customer has a product in his hand, they can check its authenticity with NFC. And you have to somehow connect the NFCs with the NFTs. So lots of acronyms here. Sales process and taxation. So because when you sell physical items, you cannot simply skim over the topic of how do you tax these items. And the answer is very obvious and very simple, but lots of people in the NFT space currently don't realize it. Yes, you have to pay taxes on goods that you sell on the internet, even if they are purely digital. And especially you have to pay taxes on them if you have a physical product behind it. And at least in Europe, most of the time, this taxation works like if you have a ticket, you have to tax it up front immediately for consumption. And an NFT, because it's non-fungible, is definitely associated with the properties of a ticket. So I think tax-wise, there's certainly a lot of in-depth discussion that can be done here. But tax-wise, I would say you immediately have to pay VAT up front. Unless the NFT is just a placeholder for one item out of a very large group, then potentially not. But that sort of defeats the point of having an NFT in the first place. So if you have a physical item in your hand, you can check its authenticity very easily by scanning it with an NFC reader. So every modern phone sold today has an NFC reader integrated automatically. And you don't need to install an app, or you don't even need to program an app in order to make this check. The modern NFC chips, they have very smart capabilities. They just spit out a unique URL every time you scan the item. So that works like there's a private key embedded in the chip of the NFC. There is a counter embedded as a memory that can be updated every time the chip is scanned. And so the result is a piece of encrypted information and like a landing page, and that landing page can handle whatever logic you spit at it. And that means that this landing page can then also make a request to the server to perform the necessary checks. So as I explained to you now, there is a server in between. I'm not talking about fully on-chain verification of the authenticity yet. This is something we are working on for version 2.0 for this type of product. It's not ready yet, but right now this version 1.0 is already very practical and very useful, and our users also love it. It's very simple to demonstrate. If you catch me, I can show you immediately how it works. And so that makes really the product pointless to counterfeit, because if you counterfeit it, you can simply make the product a second time, but you have to destroy the original product for it. And even if you manage to somehow make a perfect copy, not both of them will scan correctly every time, because you cannot increase the counter on both independently. You would need to write some sort of communication mechanism between your counterfeit items to both increase the counter. That is really pointless and unnecessary. So what do you do if you have now many physical items? You obviously cannot mint all of them on the Ethereum blockchain. That is simply not needed and not necessary, and it's also simply too expensive to do for most physical items, except for high value artwork, of course. So you have to find a way how to link your items on a blockchain that is cheap enough to use, together with the Ethereum mainnet. And for that you need a good bridge. And bridging is not very well understood for NFTs, because it's quite well understood for ERC20 tokens, but for NFTs there are so many open questions. What do you do with the token metadata? What do you do if a user tries to revert the transaction and tries to go back to the original chain without paying the entrance fees? So having a one-way street it's a recipe for user experience disaster when trying to bridge NFTs over multiple bridges. So we came up with a solution. We call it our NFT Carousel. So basically you can enter in any blockchain, go through the carousel, and depending how long you wait, you can exit in any chain you want, including the original chain that you came from. And the token metadata is updated accordingly on all the associated chains. So there are now 3 applications where we are using this technology that are already public, and we are working with several more to bring them online. And one of them, I would invite you to come to the Palladium. We have a crypto wine bar there where you can experience tokenized wines directly from Austria. We were working with the Austrian Chamber of Agriculture to bring this project to life, and we are looking forward to hear from you what great ideas there are to tokenize the wines on the blockchain. It's already live, the first auctions are running, so come by and check out Crypto Wine AT, I would say. And the other one, it's of course a product that many have been in the NFT space know for a very long time. It's the crypto stamp by the Austrian Post, where we really pioneered the whole NFC scanning, we pioneered the scanning, the bridging operations, we also pioneered having physical items linked to digital items as well. And the third that I would like to mention is this is a great application for physical art. And so we are working with artists and galleries and museums to really bring this technology to life and to have real physical art also, in addition, authenticity checked on the blockchain and have its provenance checked. So you know exactly when was it created, where did it go, who owned the item before me, and so on. And also, is this really the physical item? So I think I'm quite well in time. I really hope to talk to a lot of you people today. It's been a great pleasure to be here in New York City. And let's talk about NFTs and physical items. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Andreas. Thank you.